Welcome to the Chitlin Circuit, and today we're counting down our 15 favorite Easter eggs from HBO series Lovecraft Country. Executive produced by Misha Green, Jordan Peele, and J.J. Abrams. Be careful, this countdown is full of spoilers from the first season. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Number 15, Cthulhu, Episode 1. In the opening sequence of the season premiere, we witness a dream Atticus is having where he's fighting in the Korean War, but the landscape transforms into an alien world with UFOs and monsters. This dream sequence concludes in a confrontation with Cthulhu, one of H.P. Lovecraft's most iconic fictional creations. Tic and Gia, who has red skin based on the book Atticus is reading, A Princess of Mars, are almost destroyed by Cthulhu in the dream before they are saved by Jackie Robinson and the swing of his bat. Number 14, Trumbull Park, Episode 3. In Episode 3, when Letty is pioneering into the white Chicago neighborhood by purchasing the Winthrop house, Ruby reminds her of that mess at Trumbull Park. What she's referring to are real-life events that occurred at the Trumbull Park housing projects in 1953, when a light-skinned woman named Betty Howard was accidentally integrated into the white housing projects because officials assumed she was white. This outraged the white community and escalated from harassment and hate speech to violence, when 10 additional black families were legally moved into the housing complex in October of 1953. Ruby was worried the same violence could erupt with Letty and the Winthrop house. Number 13. Beyonce looks like Garnet from Steven Universe, Episode 7. When Hippolyta traveled through Hiram's multiverse machine and discovered she could name herself anything, she met with the futuristic being known as Beyonce. However, some viewers couldn't help but notice an uncanny resemblance to Garnet from the animated television series Steven Universe. The show creators have yet to confirm that their character was inspired by Garnet, but can this really just be a coincidence? Number 12. Hiram Epstein's Experiments, Episode 3. After Letty purchased the Winthrop house, she was forced to exorcise the spirit of the evil Dr. Hiram Epstein from the property. Epstein was a member of the Order of the Ancient Dawn and friends with Captain Lancaster, who helped him kidnap and experiment on black people for scientific research. Besides the more obvious reference to Jeffrey Epstein and his human trafficking crimes, Hiram Epstein, using black people as guinea pigs, draws reference to real-life Dr. J. Marion Sims. Sims is credited as the father of modern gynecology and achieved this status by performing experimental surgeries on enslaved black women with no anesthesia. Number 11. Letty wears Lynn Whitfield's Eve's Bayou outfit, Episode 4. In Episode 4, Tic, Letty, and Montrose head to the museum in Boston to find Titus's hidden vault. On that trip, Jurnee Smollett, who plays Letitia, wears a top that is identical to the one Lynn Whitfield wears in Eve's Bayou. For those unfamiliar with the movie, Lynn Whitfield plays Jurnee's mother, so it's a cool shout out to the film and Jurnee's long career in Hollywood. Number 10. Jerome Jackson is a realtist, not a realtor, Episode 3. Lovecraft Country did such a great job of depicting the racial inequalities present in the Jim Crow era. One such example of this racism is the fact that blacks were not allowed to become certified realtors in the 1950s. Instead, black people working as real estate professionals had to become realtists for certification. When Letty buys the Winthrop house, we see that black realtist Jerome J. Jackson has brokered the deal on Christina's behalf. He has a downtown storefront, and the sign in the window clearly says Realtist. Nice attention to detail. Number 9. Diana and Hippolyta's names. Fans of DC Comics may have spotted this Easter egg right away. In DC lore, based off of Greek mythology, Hippolyta is the queen of the Amazons, and her daughter Diana becomes Wonder Woman, a very appropriate reference for Lyta and Dee, as not only do they mirror the mother-daughter bond of Wonder Woman and her mother, but they also have some superpowered elements in their stories as well. Hippolyta went on a fantastical voyage through the multiverse and acquired futuristic technology and 200 years of knowledge, and Diana procured a robotic arm. Number 8. Topsy and Bopsy, Episode 8. Topsy and Bopsy were one of the creepiest characters introduced into the Lovecraft Country series. In Episode 8, we see them stalk and ultimately infect Diana with a curse that the group will need the Book of Names to undo. Topsy's name comes straight from the anti-slavery novel Uncle Tom's Cabin. Topsy was a minor character whose image was bastardized and exploited to be a black caricature for years following the novel. The anti-slavery message intended by the author was perverted into a racist trope of Black children that endured for decades. Number 7. The Count of Monte Cristo. Montrose's favorite book, The Count of Monte Cristo, found its way into several storylines in Season 1. In Episode 2, when Tic and Uncle George are trying to find Montrose and Artem, they notice a stone tower. It's the only one of its kind in the village, which tips them off that Montrose must be being held there. This is a reference to jail in the Count of Monte Cristo novel. Later in Episode 2, the plot point from the book of Edmund digging a tunnel to freedom helps them find Montrose, who has dug his own tunnel to escape the Braithwaite prison. The novel is also heavily referenced in Episode 6, when Atticus is injured in Korea. He is unable to read the book and asks Gia to read the last few chapters for him. They bond over this book during their courtship, and Tic even explains to Gia how the book is his father's favorite. The path of Edmund taking down those who have wronged him is especially appealing to Montrose. Number 6. The Safe Negro Travel Guide. The book published by Uncle George and Hippolyta to help Black people travel safely is based on a real-life travel guide. The Negro Motorist Green Book, or simply known as the Green Book, was the inspiration for the fictional counterpart in Lovecraft Country. It was created by travel writer and American postal employee Victor Hugo Green. We're down to the top 5, so before you continue, if you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit the notifications so you never miss a new video. Number 5. The Serpent Seed, Episode 2. We've all heard the story of Adam and Eve. Eve ate the forbidden fruit after being tempted by Satan in the form of a snake, forever banishing them from the Garden of Eden. But there is a fringe theory that believes that Eve didn't literally eat a forbidden fruit from Satan, but it's an allegory for insemination. Yes, some believe that Satan and Eve had sex and Cain is the spawn of the devil. What does any of this have to do with Lovecraft Country? Well, in Episode 2, we see this sexual encounter between Eve and Satan depicted on a stained glass window outside of Letty's room in Artem. At the very same time, she is being attacked by Atticus's snake. Earlier in the very same episode, we hear Christina scoff at biblical literalism. This is definitely a reference to the serpent seed doctrine. Number 4. Gordon Parks Photos, Episode 1. In the season premiere of Lovecraft Country, Tic, Letty, and George head out to Artem in search of Montrose. Along the way, we're treated to a road trip montage that recreates many of the shots from Gordon Parks' celebrated segregation story photo series. Parks is known as one of the greatest photographers to document Black life in America. We also get a shot that references Margaret Burke White's famous World's Highest Standard of Living photo. Number 3. Bessie Stringfield and Frida Khalo, Episode 7. In the episode titled I Am, Hippolyta went on a fantastical journey through time and space. In that episode, we encountered 2 historical figures who are never explicitly named. On Hippolyta's trip to the observatory, she encounters a Black female biker on the road. This leather-clad badass is Bessie Stringfield, who was the first Black woman to ride across the US alone by motorcycle. Later in the episode, when Lyda is dancing with Josephine Baker in Paris, we catch a glimpse of Frida Kahlo. She is shown in a series of shots, one where she is kissing Josephine Baker and another where she is giving an inspiring toast at the end of the night. Number 2. The Lovecraft Country novel, Episode 8. This might be the most meta Easter egg. The Lovecraft Country series is loosely based on a novel by Matt Ruff. In Episode 8, we find out Atticus was given the novel after falling into the multiverse portal and meeting Diana in the future. Though the book was written in the show by George Freeman, Atticus's unborn son, many of the changes are representative of the real-life novel. Things like Christina being a man named Caleb, Diana being a boy named Horace, and Uncle George surviving Artem are taken directly from the book. Before we reveal number 1, we have to give honorable mention to Ruby and the song Shaboom. In Episode 1, when she's singing on stage, someone requested that song and she called it Shaboring, which is a dead giveaway to anyone who remembered in the season finale that she's happily singing along to the song in the car. Ruby hates this song. It's definitely Christina. It's not really an Easter egg, but for Ruby's sake, we gave it an honorable mention. Number 1. Bobo, aka Emmett Till. Bobo was introduced to the Lovecraft Country universe with no fanfare, his first appearance happening in Episode 3. Eagle-eyed viewers spotted the familiar bolo tie, the name Bobo, and heard him ask the Ouija board if he'd enjoy his trip down south, and knew immediately who it was. This Easter egg lands at the top of our list because it was more than a clever reference to an innocent victim or racial violence. The death of Emmett Till became a central theme of episode 8 and affected multiple characters in meaningful ways. Ruby, Diana, Christina, Letty, and others are haunted and moved into action by the brutal nature of Emmett Till's murder. From a storyline perspective, the death of Bobo may have been the most impactful death for our characters outside of Uncle George, and the fact that this horrible murder actually happened makes it that much more shocking. Thank you for watching the Chitlin Circuit. This season was full of Easter eggs, and we couldn't talk about them all. Did we skip something you think should have made the cut? Which one is your favorite? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and click right here to check out our video on the biggest differences between the Lovecraft Country book and the TV show. Thanks for watching the Chitlin Circuit.